Okay, I vastly prefer writing to doing these videos, but no one reads what I write, or very few people, I should say, read what I write. So when I do these videos, I get hundreds of people viewing them as opposed to less than 10 for things I write, including the most popular things I write generally. So I'm going to be doing more of these videos on YouTube and less writing, which I'm actually better at than the videos. And as you can see, I don't have a very good setup here for doing videos. I'm basically just filming these with my tablet in my hand. I wanted to make a video to talk about the new presidency in Tunisia, Kais Saied, and how he is made a promise not to work against any of the rights that women have already won in Tunisia, such as fairly recently women having the right to marry non-Muslim men, which applies to my wife and I, she being Tunisian and me being American, and neither of us being Muslim, but under the previous law, it was assumed that if you were Tunisian and you couldn't document that your parents were Jewish or Christian, that you were automatically Muslim no matter what you believe in. So it's like you're a property of Islam from the day you're born because you're born in Tunisia, which is essentially just extreme bigotry and ignorance. There is really no excuse for such oppressive bullshit, but yet it still stands. So what I wanted to talk about was the fact that Kais Saied has said this, and this is a very good thing. Of course, Ennahda doesn't necessarily take the same position, and they are the largest party in the new Tunisian parliament. However, they are not a majority. There is no majority. The parliament is split up into quite a large number of parties, and the more liberal parties, if they can reunite, at least where their interests converge, would be a larger majority than the Islamist contingent in the new Tunisian parliament. That said, Kais Saied still says that he opposes the changes to Tunisian law that would make inheritance between men and women the law. And you got to understand, in Tunisia, you can write a will. Let's say you're a mother, a father, a grandmother, grandfather. You have property and assets, and you are going to write a will and decree that your assets are going to be split between male and female heirs evenly. That's your choice. But if you don't write a will and the government steps in, the next of kin type of law that we're used to in the West kicks in Tunisia. The way that it is right now is that the female gets half of what the male gets. They do inherit, but they inherit less. And so this would change it to where men and women would receive the same inheritance, but this is contrary to Islamic law and contrary to tradition, and of course contrary to the interests of a lot of men who would rather receive a larger percent than see it go to their sisters, for instance. So when this plays out in the courts, if Tunisia ever gets around to creating or I should say, when Tunisia gets around to creating the constitutional court that is supposed to have had ever since the revolution in 2011, one of the issues that will have to be worked out is the Islamist side of things, represented by Kais Saied and Ennahda, for instance, on one side opposing the equal inheritance, and on the other side the rest of Tunisia supporting it, is that the Constitution of Tunisia that was enacted in 2014 Title II, Article 21, it specifically states that men and women have to be treated equally in all matters. It's pretty cut and dry. Now, what the other side is going to argue is that in the preamble to the same constitution, it says that Islam is the religion of Tunisia. So therefore, Tunisia is not a free country. It's a theocracy in which a religion is forced upon the population. But then in another part of the Constitution, it says that there is freedom of religion. So, we're going to tell you what your religion is from birth, but you're free to not have that religion, but that's the official religion of the state. It's a complete contradiction. So it's very, very important as to who gets appointed as justices to the Constitutional Court in Tunisia, because they will be deciding the difference between, for instance, in the preamble of the Tunisian Constitution of 2014, where it says that it cannot be changed, that it is the government's responsibility to protect the sacred. That's a very vague concept. Is that protecting a mosque from having graffiti sprayed on it? Or is that, stopping changes to law that violate Sharia, right? Depends on the justice that's in place. And then also in the preamble, it specifically states that I already mentioned the sacred, protecting the sacred. It also says protecting the family. And that is a very vague concept again. What constitutes protecting the family? Is it holding up these archaic concepts of uneven inheritance between men and women? Is that going to be used to continue to uphold the archaic laws that can send a homosexual to prison for 3 years? These things need to be thought of when people think of who they're electing, because these politicians are going to be involved with selecting who ends up on this constitutional court, which will be deciding these such matters that deal with these apparent contradictions in the Tunisian constitution.